and homeowners who bought during the peak of the COVID housing boom are now dealing with a much different scenario if they have to sell that same house now. 9 News real estate expert Lane Lyon is joining us this morning for more information on this. Lane is also a realtor and managing broker at Coldwell Banker. Lane, good morning.
Hey, Jordan. Good morning.
Thanks for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I wasn't even aware that this was such a thing that was happening.
Well, it's something to think about. You know, we have been through quite the roller coaster with our housing market. We have seen highs. We have seen our market, stabilize a little bit. And I think a lot of times people are coming up and asking me, I'm a little bit worried about my home value.
And what do you say to them?
Well, I say, number one, you got to remember prices are not crashing.
Right.
The sky is not falling. We are not in a situation where we are seeing a lot of values dropping. However, it's important to remember that your value is probably most important when you go to sell.
Yes, yes.
That is when you have someone with a bag of money, in theory, at the door. So what we are seeing is there are some people on the market right now because we have more inventory, because prices are cooling off a little bit. We have some sellers that have owned their home for a long time. They are enjoying a lot of equity because from 2020 to 2022, we saw those massive gains, right? And that resulted in a lot of equity. We're also seeing some home buyers who bought 2 years ago and maybe they didn't put a lot of money down. Now they're in a situation where they're calling us and they need to sell. So we're running the numbers and they're realizing that when they look at their net proceeds, what they will be getting back sometimes is not as much as they think, or they might have to bring some money to closing with them because they're just not able to sell for what they paid for the property. And that's causing a little bit of anxiety.
Right, okay, so what kind of solutions are there for people who may be a bit underwater right now?
Well, they can either bring some money to the closing, and not everybody has that luxury, so you can certainly talk to your lender, and there are short sale options. In those cases, the loan servicer or the lender will help kind of absorb some of that negative equity or that balance. And I have to say, Jordan, these are really, I would say, more rare cases. We're starting to see them, but the fact that we're starting to have these conversations, I think, is worth noting. So there are options out there if you find yourself in these situations, because people have to move for a variety of reasons. But just like any investment that goes down, if you're able to hold and you don't have to move, you can hold and wait for these values to come back. Nationally, I saw a number, Jordan, that about 1.7 million Americans have mortgages that are considered underwater. But that's about 3% of mortgage holders. It sounds like a lot, but it is far less than what we saw, for example, in 2008 when so many people got in trouble. So it's good to keep that context. We're starting to see some of those situations because people paid so much money for houses a couple of years ago, and they don't have to now, which brings us to buyers. Okay,
but if you are selling that, you may potentially be a buyer elsewhere. There is some good news for all the buyers out there because there's a lot of opportunity.
Well, there really is. And if I could shout it from the rooftops, it would be certainly, I know that there's some anxiety too, but there are opportunities. How long have we been waiting for choices? How long have we been waiting to say you don't have to compete or only have 15 minutes to look at a house? And really, for sellers right now who are on the market going into summer, most of them are having to remove all objections. They're doing inspections before they go on the market. They're doing all repairs. They're putting paint, carpet, doing all of this for you so that you will find their house attractive and come in. They're saying yes to a lot of these things. And as a buyer, that really is a great opportunity because you're paying less in theory going in. You have houses that have really been taken care of before you purchase them, which is good. So there are opportunities. And if you are selling for a little bit lower, we like to say you're making it up on the buy side because you're buying a little bit lower too. So these are interesting times. The economy is always a topic in our world right now. How long we stay in this current situation with rates a little higher, probably going to be through the end of the year at least. But let's navigate this together because there are some opportunities.
That is the thing. We do feel like we're all in this together on this one, for better or for worse,
hey,
it feels.
We've had some experience now. We know what we're doing. So come on in. We'll take care of it.
Oh my gosh, but remember the days where you got 15 minutes to look at a house and you had to decide?
And we had a lot of buyer's remorse. We had people who didn't like the houses they were getting. And I have to say that, while there is anxiety, take the step if you can because you'll be thanking yourself later.
And honestly, there's anxiety no matter what in this process.
Gosh, yes. Can I tell you stories, Jordan?
I could buy the thing that I want the most and still have buyer's remorse about it. Like, should I have actually gotten that?
Oh, is this what I really want?
Yes, exactly. Lane, thank you so much.